Here's a sad story with a happy ending. And I'm reading it in my garden because it's a story about a little girl and her cat and their garden. It's called Under the Blackberries, In Between the Roses by Rachel Hank. When you are sorrowful, look again in your heart, and you shall see that in truth you are weeping for that which has been your delight. Under the blackberries, in between the roses. Sonia and Barney went everywhere together. Down the garden, up the stairs, down the stairs. When Sonia took things out of her cupboard, Barney got in her cupboard. When Sonia got out of her bath and emptied it, Barney got in and drank a few drops from the plug hole. Of course, Mum insisted that Barney drink from his water bowl, so every day Sonia would fill it up, then whisper to him, "It's okay, you can drink from the plug hole later." And Sonia is the little girl and Barney is her cat. Garden was their favourite place. Sonia knew all of his hiding places and where to look if Barney didn't come in for dinner. He would wait for ages, then come running out of his little flattened nest under the blackberry bushes and in between the roses, where he had been snoozing, and he would pretend that really he had been on an exciting hunting expedition. In winter, Barney always slept on Sonia's bed. When it was really cold, he tried to burrow under the covers like a mole until he reached her feet. And in the summer, he crept from one shady place in the garden to another, and he would slink into the sun for a lick of Sonia's ice cream or to chase a fly. Sonia never thought that Barney would ever not be there. She thought he would always follow her. But one morning, he wasn't. No, he wasn't anywhere. She ran through the house. She looked in the cupboards and under the beds, but no, he definitely wasn't there. "Barney's always here," thought Sonia, as she ran into the garden. He just is," she said to Gingy, who was the cat next door, and he came in with her to look under the blackberries. "Where is he, Gingy?" she asked very seriously, looking him in the eyes. Gingy looked back. He didn't really know. Sonia sat down in the grass and cried, and Gingy sat nearby, which was really kind of him, because cats don't really like it when people cry. Sadly, the day didn't get any better. "You see," Sonia explained later to Gingy, who was sitting in the afternoon sun, "well, Dad says that Barney ran into the road and there was an accident. And Sonia was being very brave. And Barney's died," she whispered. She had to whisper because she was afraid that if she said it out loud, it would make it come true, and she didn't want it to be true. But it was true, and there was nothing that Sonia could do to make Barney come back. So she cried a lot. Mum made her a special tea, Dad let her play with Grandad's music box, and then they all squashed together on the sofa. Sonia cried again and again, and baby Sam cried too, because he didn't like having a sister with a red nose and puffy eyes, and he could tell that she was really upset. Later, Sonia was allowed to go in the garden and have one last look. "Well, he might just be hiding out there," she said. But he wasn't. Just in case, Sonia left a saucer of kitten milk and some biscuits out for him. He might just be hungry and he'll come and get them," she said. Sonia put all of the toys that she could find into her bed before she climbed in. There wasn't much room for her, and they were lumpy and bumpy, and Sonia just got cross because they weren't Barney. but it was no good, and in the end she had 2 chocolate biscuits and some milk, and then she had to climb into Mum and Dad's bed. She woke up early and went into the garden. A hedgehog was drinking the kitten milk, so in a way Sonia was glad that she had left it there. But she didn't know what to do now, because nothing was the same without Barney. Nothing feels right now, Sonia cried to the hedgehog, who stayed nearby. This was really nice of the hedgehog as well, because they don't much like people crying either. Sonia decided that this was a sign of a good friend, and she went to get the hedgehog another drink of water. In the afternoon, Dad dug a hole in the exact place where Sonia pointed. No, not there. No, not there, she said. Nearly, this way a little bit more. This is where Barney was going to be buried. Sonia invited the neighbours and her best friends, Kathy and Cherry, and they had cried too when she told them about Barney. Mum found a box which was just the right size and special enough for poor Barney. Sonia tied the box up with her favourite pink hair ribbon. It was very sad, but everyone kissed her and said what a lovely cat Barney had been, and how happy he had been living with her family. Even the neighbours seemed to forget about the time that Barney had dug a hole in the herb garden and then gone to the toilet in it. And here she is. Here's Sonia, and she's got Barney in a box. And they've all gathered together to say goodbye to Barney. She's going to bury him. Kathy and Cherry helped Sonia cover the grave with rose petals. We're going to plant a rose bush here, Sonia said, and I'll be the one who waters it. Sonia had her tea with Kathy and Cherry on the grass so that they could be near to the spot where Barney was buried, and they fed Gingy some bits of ham when Mum wasn't looking. A few months later, even though she still cried now and then, Sonia didn't feel quite so sad. She played with Gingy and she fed the hedgehog and she telephoned her friends a lot. Sometimes, she said, I almost think that I can see Barney in the shady bit of the bushes. It's not scary though, it's nice. It's like he's still here, even though I know he isn't. He's special, agreed Kathy, like my rabbit, Rupert. That evening, Mum and Dad were very excited. They led Sonia into the living room with her eyes closed. When she opened them, she saw a cat basket. There were little scratching sounds coming from inside. It's a kitten for you, Dad said. Sonia felt a bit strange having a cat that wasn't Barney. She took the kitten out of the basket and she held it close. She felt its little heart beating fast. Meow, said the kitten. Meow, meow. Sonia knew that she was going to love this kitten and that the kitten loved her. She's called it Daisy, said Sonia, and she went to find her hairiest woolly jumper for Daisy to sleep on. Soon Daisy was big enough to play in the garden. She was a bit young and silly though, and she kept rushing up and down and then standing still with her head on one side. It took a long time to teach her not to climb in Barney's special rose bush. Daisy did try hard to remember, but she sometimes forgot. When she did forget, Gingy would remind her by rolling her over with his big ginger paw. Sonia smiled at Daisy. She said, all the rest of the garden is for you, but this place is special because it's for Barney and for me, and that will never change. And there she is, showing Daisy where Barney is. Now, I love that story because although it's very sad when we lose a pet, it's nice that Sonia was able to have somewhere in her garden that she could remember Barney and where she could go and sit with Barney and remember all the nice times that they had. I hope you enjoyed the story and it didn't make you too sad, and you realised at the end it can be a happy ending for Sonia to think about all the nice times that she had. When you are sorrowful, look again in your heart, and you shall see that in truth you are weeping for which has been your delight. And that means that when you're sad, the reason you're sad is because you're remembering all the lovely happy times.